Building Systems in Osceola, talking to General Manager Rick Parrino, and this is where structural components for homes, apartment complexes, hotels even are put together. And Rick, tell us about, you've got a brand new saw, and this isn't just any old saw. Tell us how that works.
It's actually a computerized saw. We actually design our trusses in a design department and then download them to the computer on this saw. And this saw actually feeds itself. It cuts the lumber. It optimizes the cuts out of particular length of lumber that you tell it you want to cut out of. And then it even labels it as it comes out the other side of the saw. It tells you what part it is when it comes out the saw.
So that's a pretty amazing piece of equipment.
Yep.
And you need equipment like that here because so much happens, including the roof trusses. Let's talk about assembling roof trusses.
Well, in the roof truss department, what we do is we take a number of pieces that have been pre-cut to certain dimensions, and we build a jig on the table, and we put the parts together, and at that point we set the height and we set the length. We make sure that all the specifications for those trusses are met, and then we put a jig that holds it all in place together, and then from there we start the fabrication process, which includes putting connector plates on. You know, sometimes it might even include some prefabrication of certain products and stuff, and then we pre-press the truss on the original jig that's on the table. What we call pre-press. From there we actually lift the truss off onto a roller conveyor where we roll it out of the building, but as it goes out of the building we put what we call finish press on it through a finish press roller, and then outside the trusses get stacked and organized and ready for shipment.
Plum Building Systems provides structural components for several of the builders that are on the Open House television show.
Yeah, we build for many of the custom builders in the Des Moines market, and we do a lot of the roofs that a lot of the other builders don't want to do, the vaulted ceilings, trade ceilings, multiple wall heights, that type of stuff.
And you can get it right on exactly
yeah, we
the
do
way
the
they
best
want
we
it.
can to get it right exactly the way they want it.
We are in the floor truss department at Plum Building Systems, and Rick, tell us, what are the advantages of using a floor truss that has been assembled here?
Well, the big advantage of floor trusses is the open space. It allows you to run your utilities like heating and ventilation pipes, plumbing, electric, all that through the floor system. And it gives a big advantage of, instead of in most houses you would have to build down, what they call bulkhead down, to run your mechanicals through. This leaves a lot of head space in a basement or whatever, you know, even if it's on a second story. You know, you could run all your parts through here and not have to build down and drywall down and have beams, I guess, sticking below the ceiling line. And the other thing is, in most cases, floor trusses are stronger. They'll span farther, so you could have a bigger open space in the basement compared to an I-joist or a 2x10. So the other thing is, because it's an engineered product, we can stiffen this floor system up as stiff as you want it, especially when you're doing some type of tile, ceramic, or marble tile floor. They require that your deflection be higher than a normal floor, because what deflection means is when the floor dips, it'll actually let the tile crack or your grout crack. So if you do it, the nice thing about floor trusses is that we can actually design them, engineer them, and make them much stronger to take that load and not let them bend at all. That way it'll avoid having any tile problems later.
Rick, the wall panels are built in a separate building here at Plum Building Systems. Tell us about the advantages of building the wall panels here.
Well, we're in a controlled environment, so we don't have to put up with the weather and that type of stuff, or even obstacles on a job site. Our guys have the luxury of working in the same spot all day long. Material is fed to them, they assemble it and pass it down a conveyor system, and that way it's easier to keep an eye on quality, keep an eye on the lumber, control the lumber and that type of stuff. And it also makes us more efficient because we're doing a repetitive type work instead of stopping and starting, stopping and starting like you would at a job site.
Now let's talk about time saved. How long does it take to put a home together that has all of its structural components built by Plum Building Systems?
Generally, you could probably do it in a couple days, 2 to 3 days. In some cases, we've seen people actually put them up in 1 day. compared to might be a 2 or 3 week frame time under normal stick framing conditions.
And the advantages there are staying on time and on target with your builder, but also the elements, the outdoor elements here in Iowa can be tough on wood especially.
And I guess exactly. The nice thing is that it prevents us from having to buy special lumber. A lot of times you have to buy lumber that's treated for weather so that it makes it through the rainy season. We're here, because we get enclosed so fast, we could use normal lumber and save the builder money that way.
And with Plum Building Systems, you build relationships.
We sell our home plan services, to the customers, but our real relationship is with lumber yards and the builders. And we sell all of our components through lumber yards, all the major lumber yards in town.
Rick, a lot of advantages to assembling structural components in a controlled environment.
Well, the QC, we could do a much thorough inspection of the trusses in a controlled environment. We actually lay a polygon of a truss over the connector plate to make sure that it's in the proper place. We do over 100 inspections randomly in our truss plant every month.
Okay, well, great information. Thanks so much for the tour of your plant. And you have a website.
Yeah, it's plumbuildingsystems.com.
Okay, thanks.
Or you can contact us at 515-327-0698.
Okay, thanks so much. Rick Parrino, Plum Building Systems.